Following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? A very happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Certainly a lot to get to today. Of course, we're in the YouTube Super Chat, the website, pushingthelimits.live, and plenty other avenues to watch the show. The Facebook page is Pushing the Limits. That's the Facebook page, Pushing the Limits, and I think we just passed 64,000 subs on there, so it's growing ever so fast, so we appreciate all the support, and as I mentioned, everybody on the YouTube Super Chat, chime in when you feel free to. Big guests here coming up at the bottom of the hour. I think everybody and their mother's uncle want to speak with him, and we got him, and he's a personal friend of mine, and if you haven't been following the news, he's kind of been in the news the last week. That's right. Don Lemon's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. A judge has made the decision not to, or refusing to charge Don Lemon, even though the Trump administration and Pam Bondi are doing everything in their power to try to charge Don Lemon. He's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. I certainly promised you guys that I would review and speak with you guys about the Jack Smith testimony that took place yesterday, which I thought was pretty mesmerizing on how repugnant and disgusting some of the Republicans were on Capitol Hill, to no surprise. And then there was a moment where Michael Fanone, the former Capitol police officer who has traumatic brain injury, got into it with somebody who has threatened his family. And then there was another moment where Republican Nels, who was just a despicable human being, blamed, in a sense, Capitol police officers for what took place on January 6th. It cannot get more disgusting than this. We had to bleep out the swear word, of course, but Michael Fanone pretending to cough and saying the F word in the middle of Nels, and I don't blame him, by the way, blaming Capitol Police for January 6th. Have a listen to this.
That is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that the crap you were shoveling did not pass the smell test with the American people. To put it bluntly, Mr. Smith, the stink remains on you. And lastly, I would like to quickly address the police officers of January 6th. Mr. Dunn, Mr. Fanone, Mr. Gonell, Mr. Hodges. I'm a member of the new select committee to actually examine what happened that day. And I can tell you, gentlemen, that the fault does not lie with Donald Trump. It lies with Yogananda Pittman and the U.S. Capitol leadership team. We know they had the intelligence, and there was going to be a high propensity for violence that day. Claim my time, yeah.
You will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. We've had some disruptions already. We don't need that. Let the gentleman may continue.
So that was Michael Fanone pretending to cough. By the way, I don't blame him for doing so. How disgusting that you have Republicans on Capitol Hill that would blame Capitol Police for what took place on January 6th. I'm not sure it gets any more despicable than that. Then there's Representative Grothman, who is making the case that he believes that Donald Trump thinks that he won the election, and there's no doubt in his mind. Listen to these charades.
Gentleman's time is expired.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
First of all, just a couple of comments. There are probably 10 people on this committee who have more conversations with 15 people on this committee who have more conversations with Donald Trump than myself. But anybody who says that Donald Trump thought he won that election, that is just plain not true. No way, unless he's the best actor in the history of this building.
We agree.
Did Donald Trump believe?
Order.
Donald Trump did not believe. Donald Trump did not believe he lost that election. He just did. No way. And I think on January.
So, first of all, Donald Trump has admitted he lost the election to people like Bill Maher and others. He knows he lost, and anybody who believes that is a complete imbecile. Donald Trump knows he lost the election. Everybody around him knows he lost the election. It's just his ego that can't admit it publicly. He's admitted it privately. And then there's Representative Van Drew, who starts talking to Jack Smith and calls him a hypocrite, which is very interesting because almost every single one of these Republicans on January 6th admitted that, the people who committed these horrible crimes and acts deserved punishment. They're all the hypocrites, but here's Representative Van Drew calling Jack Smith a hypocrite.
Because there's so much, Mr. Smith, there really is. But it isn't, what I do know is it's much more than how much people like or hate you, or like or hate Donald Trump, or like or hate Republicans, or like or hate Democrats. This is about the system. It's about what the Department of Justice did. It's about what you did. The core of the hearing is all about, can Americans still trust the justice system? Is it fair? Was it fair under you? And all they don't expect you to be perfect, but they expect you to treat everyone the same, Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, but that wasn't the case. When you treat people differently because of their political status, their political party, their ideals, that's hypocrisy. And I'm sorry to say, and I don't say it lightly, I do consider you to be a hypocrite.
So let me just explain to you guys how ridiculous that is. And I don't even really have to do the explaining because almost every Republican in D.C. put some blame on Donald Trump and said that the people who committed those horrible crimes deserved punishment. Representative Ross makes an example out of Jim Jordan. Have a listen to this.
Objection. Without objection.
And the second one is a unanimous consent to enter into their record an interview from March 2024 on the Capitol Hill show, in which you called on those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th to be, quote, held accountable because, quote, that's the way our system does work and should work.
Without objection.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there you go. There's Jim Jordan on the record. And he, and again, Representative Ross wasn't the only one pointing out the hypocrisy on the right. Listen to Jared Moskowitz, who I actually did think did a really good job yesterday, making it a point to name all the Republicans on the right who said one thing on January 6th and have been saying something else years later.
I hate talking about the present. But you know what? Let's talk about the past real quick. Here are some quotes, because I heard one of my colleagues call you a hypocrite. Here are some quotes from my colleagues. Chairman Jordan, right after January 6th, stop the violence, support Capitol Police. Ted Cruz, those storming the Capitol need to stop right now. The Constitution protects, but not violence. Chip Roy, today the People's House was attacked, which is an attack on the Republic itself. Steve Scalise, United States Capitol Police saved my life. Lindsey Graham, when it comes to accountability, the president needs to understand his actions were the problem. Troy Nels, oh my God, him again. I'm happy to stand shoulder to shoulder with Capitol Police. Darrell Issa, the violence and turmoil we witnessed in Washington, D.C. was completely unacceptable. Rep. McClintock, the attack on Capitol strikes the most sacred act of our democracy. And former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, whose name we heard a lot today, what did he have to say about it? Let me be clear, last week's violence attack on the Capitol was undemocratic, un-American, and criminal. And make no mistake, those who were responsible should be brought to justice. The president bears responsibility. Period. Or exclamation point.
Great job, Jared Moskowitz. You had Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan, all these people speaking tough on how horrible January 6th was, right? Some even putting some responsibility on Donald Trump and saying these people need to be held to account. But then just weeks later, changing their tune. They're the ones that are the hypocrites. Jack Smith is the patriot, and Donald Trump belongs in jail. Jamie Raskin also speaking up at the hearing yesterday involving Jack Smith. A lot of people on the right make the excuse and claim that Donald Trump had a First Amendment right to say that the election was stolen. But Jamie Raskin made a very good point because you can't use the First Amendment when you incite and when people commit violent acts. That's exactly what Donald Trump did, and Jamie Raskin right here explains it.
Let's go to something else that I've been hearing over the last week by our colleagues as they've eagerly anticipated your arrival here. They've been saying that there's some kind of First Amendment defense that Donald Trump would have had to the crimes you indicted him for. Is there a valid First Amendment defense to defrauding the public? Is there a valid First Amendment defense to disrupting a federal proceeding? Is there a valid First Amendment defense to violating the voting rights of the people and cheating the public out of a fair election?
The First Amendment is something that we took seriously in our investigation, but the First Amendment does not protect speech that facilitates a crime. Speech that is used to facilitate a crime, a fraud crime in particular, is not protected under the First Amendment. The Supreme Court precedent on that is clear. This is an issue that we litigated before the district court, and the district court ruled, as I just stated, that it is not in fact protected.
And the case law is perfectly clear on this, right? All frauds are perpetrated by speech, right?
Yes.
All conspiracies are perpetrated by speech. So just because your criminal conduct is brigaded with speech doesn't somehow mean you've got a First Amendment defense against trying to overthrow the government. I mean, the people who attacked the police officers on January 6th were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." I suppose that was political speech, or they were saying, "Stop the steal." Does that mean they've got a First Amendment defense to violent assault against the officers?
It does not.
No, of course not. So you can't use the First Amendment in saying Donald Trump had the right to say the election was stolen, on and on and on. And then when he makes these statements, that leads to what took place, obviously, on January 6th and the violence and people that lost their lives. So you can't use the First Amendment anymore. And then Ted Lieu made a really good point yesterday, because a lot of MAGA idiots out there and even elected officials on Capitol Hill are saying, wait, if you wanted to get all these phone records of all these Republicans, why didn't you tell them in advance? Again, the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you do that? And Ted Lieu makes that point very well.
Toll records. Do you believe the Speaker of the House is above the law?
No, I don't believe anybody should be above the law.
Right. And U.S. senators are not above the law, correct?
No.
Yeah. And members of Congress are not above the law, right?
No.
Yeah, that's right, because we're not. And what Republicans are trying to argue is somehow, if you're doing an investigation, you can't do stuff to senators or members of Congress. Get out of here. We're just under a law like everybody else. And by the way, the speech and debate clause only applies to legislative acts, communications with legislative acts. Stealing a frickin' election and trying to do so is not a legislative act. It is a crime. So I don't know what the heck they're talking about. And this is so stupid. I'm a former prosecutor. You never in an investigation go and try to get someone's toll records or phone records and then tell them, hey, dude, we're about to get your phone records. Of course you wouldn't tell them. What the Republicans are saying today is just idiotic. I am so pleased you're here on national TV telling the American people that Trump was indicted. He was indicted lawfully, and multiple grand juries secured those indictments. Thank you for your service, and history will look upon you well. I yield back.
Yes, nice job, Ted Lieu. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, a heads up. We want your phone records. No, that's not how investigations work. That's not how it works. These Republicans are so stupid. And then Jack Smith, somebody that I have a lot of respect for. That's what a real patriot looks like, at least in my estimation. And this is Jack Smith speaking under oath, making a statement saying that he stands by all of his decisions here as special counsel. And I think it's really important I play these statements for you because Jack Smith is not intimidated and he's not backing down.
As I testify before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. If asked whether to prosecute a former president based on the same facts today, I would do so regardless of whether that president was a Democrat or a Republican. No one should be above the law in this country, and the law required that he be held to account, so that is what I did. To have done otherwise on the facts of these cases would have been to shirk my duties as a prosecutor and as a public servant, of which I had no intention of doing.
That is what a real patriot sounds like. He's willing and is and continues to put his entire career on the line and has to tell the truth. That's what a patriot looks like, not Merrick Garland or these other fools. Jack Smith is a true patriot, and I will always have the utmost respect for him, and I agree with what Eric Swalwell said yesterday, and I thought the Democrats as a whole did a really good job yesterday, and I'll just play you one of those statements that Eric Swalwell made, kind of echoing what I just said. Have a listen to this.
I just never seen anything like that happen in our country.
Mr. Smith, I don't know if I'll ever have the honor to talk to you again. If I don't, please know that I and my colleagues on the Democratic side, and even my Republican colleagues when they speak privately, have nothing but respect and appreciation for what you tried to do and how you did it. You, unlike many here, are a man of honor. And I yield back.
Yeah, amen to that. Think about what this guy, Jack Smith, did. Very intimidating, or it could be to some that don't have a backbone. And what Jack Smith did, it'll be looked at in the history books. And this man going out in public, think about that for a moment. Think about the MAGA buffoons out there that will probably harass him in public. His life will obviously, sadly, never be the same. This is a very skilled man, a very intelligent man, a very educated man, and from what I can see, a man of principle, a family man. I wish we had more people with his backbone in Washington, D.C., quite frankly. I have a lot of respect for him. And think about the arguments that Republicans are putting up there. Oh, well, were you going to question Hutchinson? Were you going to bring her to trial? Who made the case that, there was an assault with one of Donald Trump's security team? And I mean, think about that. That's one of the arguments they're making. And they're trying to make it sound like Jack Smith doesn't have any credibility. And obviously it didn't work. There's going to be always those despicable MAGA Republicans that are going to try to make the case that Jack Smith doesn't have credibility, when quite to the opposite of that. For the last 3 decades, he's been prosecuting Republicans and Democrats. And just refer to the statements that Jim Jordan or McCarthy or all these other Republicans made, which Moskowitz pointed out yesterday, because they know. They know the fundamental truth and the facts of what took place that day. As I've said a million times on this show, and I say again, if Donald Trump doesn't lie about the 2020 election and say that it was rigged and it was stolen, January 6th doesn't happen. The woman who was trampled that day and had a heart attack, she probably would still be alive today. Ashley Babbitt probably would still be alive today. There'd be a ton of officers that wouldn't have been injured. Officers like Michael Fanone, heroes, and others that wouldn't have traumatic brain injury. Multiple officers, sadly, that committed suicide. It's so tragic. They would most likely still be here today. And that day would have never gone down in the history books of one of the most embarrassing days in this country, as far as I'm concerned. It wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump never got into office to begin with. And it certainly wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump didn't say and claim that the election was rigged or stolen. These are basic facts. These are not opinions. And if you ask a Republican, would January 6th have happened if Donald Trump didn't lie about the election, and they say, oh, geez, I don't know, then they're idiots. Just like the idiots who were there that day. Even the people that didn't storm the Capitol. Yeah, let me be very clear. If you think Donald Trump won the 2020 election, you're an idiot. And there are 2 different types of idiots in this situation. There are the idiots like the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world and others that are not very bright, that actually do believe that the election was stolen because they're imbeciles. And then there are the people out there that are even more dangerous, the people that are smart enough to know, and I don't even think you have to be that smart to know that Trump didn't win, but there are people out there that know that Donald Trump lost, but they lie because they go with the MAGA narrative. Both are extremely dangerous to our democracy. Again, Jack Smith is a hero. Jack Smith is a patriot. Jack Smith put his entire career on the line and, quite frankly, the safety of his family to do the right thing. That is what true patriotism is. Not storming the Capitol and beating a bunch of Capitol police officers with their own batons and using bear spray and screaming, "Hang Mike Pence." No. No, ladies and gentlemen, that's not patriotism. That's terrorism. And to all the deranged right-wing terrorists and white supremacists who committed horrible crimes on that day, many of them still belong behind bars, and I will always continue to call them convicted felons, whether people like it or not, and I will always continue to say that Donald Trump is the one who was responsible, along with those, of course, who committed the violent acts, for what took place on that horrible day. Donald Trump had access to calling in the National Guard. All these people want to blame Nancy Pelosi. Quite frankly, it's sick. It's disgusting. Jack Smith is a patriot, and I do have some good news for you, friends. They can go after Donald Trump after he leaves office. This case is not going away. It's still sitting there on Jack Smith's desk, and they will be able to prosecute him after he leaves office. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but they will be able to prosecute Donald Trump. What happens from that, I couldn't tell you. But it seems to me that Jack Smith and his attorneys have a pretty damn good case. So we will see what happens. But there is still the possibility that Donald Trump could be going to jail. Well, I'll tell you one person that's not going to jail, it certainly appears, thankfully, is Don Lemon, my friend Don Lemon. He's going to be joining us next. MAGA all over the country have been saying, we want the perp walk for Don Lemon. He stormed a church. Well, a judge yesterday decided, no, we're not going to be charging Don Lemon. That man himself, Don Lemon, is going to be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Mr. Lemon right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue... Got it.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future, our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. So as you know, we've been covering these church protesters, as everyone else has, all across the country. And as I've been doing ad nauseum, which it's my oath to do, I think, is to tell the truth and defending what Don Lemon did, because I don't think he did anything wrong. He's a great journalist. There have been several arrests yesterday, and a judge has decided not to charge Don Lemon with anything, which I think is the right thing to do. But so many people on the right have been calling for Don Lemon to go to jail and throw away the key. I think it's repulsive, and I think I know the reason why they're doing that. And there's like 1 million people that want to talk to Don Lemon right now, and I'm so grateful. And he's such a great friend that he's willing to come on today to talk a little bit about this, because I know he's had quite the crazy week. Mr. Don Lemon himself. Don, I so appreciate you being here. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Brian? And thank you, because I hear from I'm not on Twitter. I hear from my social team. They're like, who's this Brian Shapiro guy? Do you know him? He's going hard. I'm like, yes, I know Brian, and he doesn't know any other way but to go hard.
That's true.
So thank you.
That's true. Absolutely, Don. I absolutely defended you from the get-go here. Where do I even begin? Can you explain to people, I know the story because we've had private conversations, but can you explain to people that, what people are saying, you organized this, you orchestrated it, you led that gang of protesters in there. Can you just set the record straight on what really happened?
None of that's true. And look, I prefer to talk about the practice and rather than what happened, the details. But look, I didn't know anything about this group. I went to Minnesota to cover the folks at the Whipple building, but I got there so early. So I said, hey, is there something else that I could cover in between now and then when people will be at the Whipple building? Because I got there at my flight was like at 6 o'clock and I got there at 8 o'clock. And so people sent me these flyers and they said, this group is doing, I don't know if they said a march, I forget what it is, but they sent a flyer. And I said, okay. And then there was a guy who I met in Atlanta at a at Essence Fest. I think it was Essence Fest or something like that. And he sent me a thing. He said, hey, I see you're coming to Minnesota. If you need some help or whatever, I can produce for you. And I said, yeah, I would love a producer on the ground. And so I said, what should I do? He sent me the same flyer. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, if you need someone to help you, I said, okay, great. And so we went, did the thing. I met the protest leader for the first time. She was on my show, I think on Thursday or Friday, so I didn't know her. And someone else invited her on the show. There was a guy who is doing some sort of protest, and he's at all the council meetings in the congressional meeting that happened on Thursday or Friday. I forget what day it was. And he was there. And so he said, you should have on your show, there's an independent journalist, Georgia Fort, and then there is an activist there, and her name is Nikema Levy Armstrong. And I said, okay, sure. If you think they should be on, I trust you. Let's invite them on the show. And they were perfectly nice. And so I didn't even know her. I met her for the first time. She said to me, we can't tell you. It's a clandestine operation. And so I was just covering a group of protesters. And when they got to the church, I told my team, don't go inside, don't go on the property. I said, but if something pops off, if they do create a disturbance of some sort or whatever, if they start protesting in the church, then it becomes a thing, and then we can cover it. So the protesters went in, it became a thing, and we covered it. That's it. That's it. There was no chanting. I was not in the middle of the scrum. I was standing on the side saying, this is what's happening.
Right. When they say you broke the FACE Act, they don't even know what the FACE Act is. It's like, first of all, you weren't protesting. You weren't disturbing anybody. You weren't protesting. I don't understand that at all. Let me ask you this, because another narrative they're claiming is, oh, well, Don Lemon trespassed. Did anybody ask you to leave? Did you refuse to leave? What are your thoughts on that?
I did not refuse to leave. The one time that I remember that I was asked to leave by the pastor who hedged, he said, and we would like you to leave unless you want to worship with us. And I said, of course, I'm a Christian. I will worship with you. You'd love to worship, but it wasn't like get out. But very shortly afterwards, we left. And you could see me going outside, walking out the door.
Correct. And I saw that video. What do you make of the arrests that have already been made? Do you have any opinions on that? They've already arrested several people. What are your thoughts on that?
I expected them to come in and try to get the protesters that day or something. I thought let's put it this way. I thought if there was any action, it would be that day because the police were outside. I think we got outside and there were like 2 or 3 police cruisers out there, SUVs, black and white SUVs. None of them ever approached the protesters. I had to walk right by them to get to my car and nothing. I mean, there were police there. So what do I make of the arrest of the protesters? Look, I think that people can exercise their First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. And to me, it looks like that's what those people were doing. I don't think there were any threats. Do protests get out of hand? Sure. There was nothing physical. I don't think anybody was blocking anybody from the door. They were just chanting. So I think it's unfortunate. I wish that the pastor would have tried to talk and calm the situation down a little bit, but the heat of the moment. But it's really not up to me to judge the protesters or to judge what happened. It's just me to chronicle it and to be a journalist. And that's what I did. I hope that those protesters get the same fair treatment by the Justice Department and by the justice system as Donald Trump got when he was in trouble and he was allowed to self-report and turn himself in and not to spend a night in jail or be in handcuffs. And
Yeah,
that doesn't look like it's happening.
I do find it interesting, though. They want a full investigation, these people on the right, into you and all these protesters, but yet when somebody shoots Renee Good in the face, they don't want a full investigation into that. I do find that very interesting, Don. But did you expect the judge to make the decision he made yesterday? And do you also expect the Trump administration to continue to try and go after you and do anything they can?
Yeah, of course they will. Of course. Did I expect it? No, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I looked at everything. Look, I'm a lay person. I don't know. But everything that they were saying was evidence seemed to not to refer to me. Again, I am not a protester. I was not a protester. I said, I'm not a protester. I'm a journalist. And someone said that I was chanting. None of that. None of that is true. Look, I didn't know what to expect because you don't know what to expect with this administration. Of course, they're going to try. They're already saying they're going to try. And, they've been shot down once. We'll see what happens. But I fully expect them to try once, twice, 3 times, as much as they have to. And so what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do?
Nothing you can't. Don, do you agree with me? Because I've said this on social media. I personally believe that a big part of the reason why so many on the right are going after you is because here you are. You tell the truth. I respect you a lot for that. And you happen to be a black gay man living in society. And I think that's part of the reason why people on the right, particularly white MAGA supporters, want to see you in handcuffs. I really believe that's a huge part of this. And that's why they're going after you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there are a number of reasons. I think that's one of them. I think one is that I'm the biggest name. If there was, let's just say that, I don't know, if Rachel Maddow had showed up in the church, they probably, she would be the story. So I kept asking, why am I, the face of the story? I'm not, I'm there reporting. So look, I did have some confidence in, the magistrate that, or I don't even know the process of that, a judge or that someone would come to their senses and realize like, none of this applies to him. Right. They may want it to apply. They like the attention that they're getting from it, but every argument that they use is completely, it's irrelevant. It does not apply to me. So, yeah, I think that's one of them. I think it's one because I'm a name. That's why I'm the face of it. 2, it's because they're not used to people like me, being in positions of power, to be able to, or having a platform to be able to talk about the things I talk about, to share stories and to report the news and also to give insight sometimes. And they just don't like it because I don't hold back.
No,
the
you
truth
don't.
is the truth. And I believe in the First Amendment wholeheartedly. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in due process. And I believe that this administration now they don't believe in any of that.
Yep. A couple more quick questions for you, Don, and I know you're busy, and then we'll let you go. I appreciate you being here. I want to give you a chance to respond to some of the things you said that I think a lot of people took out of context. For example, you would use the term white privilege. Totally understand the context of what you were saying when it comes to some people that were in church. I want to give you a chance to respond to that. And listen, there were kids there that were frightened, of course. And you had said, hey, listen, sometimes people are going to be uncomfortable with protesting. I don't think you meant as, hey, this is totally okay, and we want kids to be scared. I want to give you a chance to respond to both of those statements that you made, because I think a lot of people on the right are taking what you said out of context.
I don't even remember what are they talking about? In what sense was it? Were they talking about?
Yeah, I think you had said something after the protest when you said, hey, be careful, don't slip on this ice. There's a clip that a lot of people on the right are using when you said something about, hey, when you protest, sometimes people have to be uncomfortable. Sometimes that's
that is part of protest. It's to throw people off of their normal thing. Is to get their attention. That was the basis of what Dr. King did for the civil rights movement. Do you think that showing up at diners and lunch counters and places where that was only meant for white people, do you think that was comfortable for people? That's the whole idea of a protest. A protest is not supposed to be, where you're just like, hey, everybody, can you please listen to me? That's not what it is.
Right.
So, of course. That's a complete disingenuous thing. Of course, I felt for the kids and the people in there. I'm just describing what was happening.
Right.
But that is the nature of protest, is to jar people into paying attention to you if you're a protester.
Yep.
But again, I'm not judging whether the protesters should be in the church or not be in the church. That's not my job as a journalist. My job is to convey and to show what is going on, to chronicle and record what's going on. And that's what I did.
Exactly.
So anything beyond that is bullshit. And I go back and look at things in context. But the whole idea about white privilege, I'm not sure what context that was in. I would have to see an interview of what I said. Do I believe there's white privilege in this country?
Of course.
Absolutely. Do I believe that there is a certain faction on the right, mainly from white evangelical Christians, to take over the Constitution and to put the 10 Commandments in schools and all of those things and try to get their ideology to be part of law? That's not what this country is about. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state. So in that context, maybe I did say it, but I wasn't talking specifically about that particular church.
Right. And that's exactly the way I interpret it, Don. Last question for you. What would be your message right now if you had the opportunity to speak with Pam Bondi or anybody, quite frankly, in the Trump administration right now that are trying to probably do anything they can to try to put you in handcuffs? What would be your message right now, Don? If you had the opportunity to talk to them, what would you say to them?
I don't know what I would say to them. It would depend on, where we were and what we were doing. And there are a whole lot of things that I could say to them, but I would not lower myself to a level of retribution as they are doing. I think that I would just be the person that I am, and that they don't like is that I am a classy, educated, smart journalist, Black gay man in America who believes in the Constitution and believes that all people, no matter if they're citizens or not, documented or not, deserve the rights under our Constitution, which states in a number of different amendments that everyone, not just citizens, have a right to due process in this country. That's what America is supposed to be about, and they're not following the Constitution.
Amen to that. In closing, I probably won't be saying anything you don't already know, but I just want to say, obviously, there are millions of people in this country that got your back. I'm one of them. You're a good man. You're a great journalist. You've had an unbelievable career, and we want you to keep doing what you're doing. And I know you're going to continue to do that, and you're not scared or afraid of or intimidated by the Trump administration. So just know that. Know that while there's some despicable, disgusting people that say horrible things about you, and they probably have for years. They hate the fact that you're successful and you're so good at what you do. And now they're trying everything they can to try to put you in handcuffs for doing nothing wrong. So that's all I wanted to say, Don. Thank you for being a great friend to me. And you're a good guy, and you're great at what you do. And just know that there are so many people like myself that got your back and know you did nothing wrong. And we applaud you for going in there, quite frankly, and recording what took place. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you coming on, Don, as always. I would imagine there's a lot of people that want to talk to you. So I appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Thank you. Can I just add one thing that I thought about it?
Please.
You said that. I think that I would say to her, please start obeying the Constitution and start respecting institutions and people in this country. The First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, all of the amendments of the Constitution. Please start acting as if you care about the Constitution in this country and all people in this country, and do not operate from a place of revenge, right? A place of grievance.
That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Going up to people, IDing people with no articulable or reasonable suspicion they committed a crime, going after people that look like you. I mean, we had the police chief out there that held the press conference that said his police officers out of uniform, brown people, were being asked for their paperwork for no reason. I mean, it's just, it's so sick, Don. I don't have to tell you the stuff you already know, but we just got to keep fighting, right? We got to keep fighting. Don, I appreciate you, my friend. Hey, get some relaxation this weekend, huh?
I'm going to try. There's a big snowstorm coming, man.
There's a lot of snow coming, but Don, I so appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. Really appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Get some rest, my friend, okay?
Thank you. Be well, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. Really nice of Don Lemon to join us. I would imagine there's probably a plethora of organizations that want to interview him. So for him to do this show and to answer all those questions, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that and appreciate our friendship. So thank you, Don. He said what I already knew. I wanted him to answer those questions for some of you, including some of the MAGA people that listen to this show. And I certainly want to get your reaction. And I will open up the phone lines now at 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. We just had Don Lemon on, who was probably the most trending story on social media throughout the week. A judge decided yesterday that there wasn't enough evidence to charge Don Lemon with anything. I said worst case scenario, and I'm saying worst case scenario, I don't even think they had a case, to try to get Don Lemon with a trespassing charge. And I'm actually glad he cleared that up too, because I don't believe it was trespassing at all. As he said, the only person that asked him to leave was one of the pastors. And then he said, unless you're here to worship. And Don said, I'm a Christian. I'm also here to worship. So nobody asked him to leave after that. So I don't even think you can get Don Lemon on a trespassing charge. He said what I already knew in the private conversations that I've had with Don Lemon, that he didn't orchestrate anything. He didn't lead a mob of people into the church. He didn't do that either. He was told that there was going to be some sort of demonstration. He showed up with his cameraman. He showed up with a cell phone, and he recorded what happened. That is not breaking any laws. That is not breaking the FACE Act. He also cleared up the fact that, no, he felt bad for the kids. He doesn't want to see kids crying and screaming and scared. He said that. And yes, there is something called white privilege. And if you don't think there is something called white privilege, then chances are you're probably a racist. What did he not clear up in that short 10, 15-minute interview that you already didn't want to know? 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-SAVE if you do want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Steve, who's calling out of West Virginia. Hi, Steve. What's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
You know, I watched all of the hearings yesterday with Jack Smith, and I was wondering what kind of world are we living in that these Republicans who are scared for their lives and hid under desks and everything else are.
Did we just lose Steve? Steve, I think you might have hung up by accident. You're welcome to call back, and we will let you continue. That was not on our end, my friend. So go ahead and give us a call back. You were off to a really good start, by the way. 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Richard, who is next. Hi, Richard. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? Hi, Richard. Go right ahead. Yeah, hi, Richard. Go right ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I first-time caller, listened to you a long time.
Thank you.
Since before the election. I have to disagree with you on one thing.
No, that's okay.
It's not that they can't spell facts, that they think facts are machines that paper comes out of.
Alternative facts, right, Steve? Right, sir? Alternative facts. Remember Kellyanne Conway with her stupid alternative facts? Tell me if you disagree with me or not. When I talk to Don Lemon, and I've known Don Lemon for quite some time now, a few years, and he's very articulate. He's very intelligent. He's very educated. He's a man of principle. He's never been in trouble with the law before. But if MAGA see a black gay male successful in this case, they'll do anything and everything to go after him. But if you see a white ICE agent who is a Trump supporter, I would imagine, kill an innocent woman in Renee Good, no investigation needed there. Don't you find that kind of interesting, sir? Did we lose the caller? I don't know what just happened.
I got you. Give me a minute.
Sorry about that. Do we still have him on the line? Oh, we lost him as well. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. That's 2 for 2 there. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE.
I'm still here.
Oh, sorry about. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with our phone line. Sorry about that. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, but they hold a 5-year-old hostage to get his father out of the home. I mean, what kind of crap is that?
Yeah,
what world are we living in?
I agree with you. I'll tell you what world we're living in. We're living in the MAGA world, where bigotry, hatred, vile behavior. Check everyone off. Right?
My older sister was raped by a black man.
I'm sorry.
My
sorry to hear
youngest
that.
sister was killed at 18-year-old by 2 black men from the Dominican Republic.
I think I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say.
I don't hold black people accountable.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrible. And number two, I knew you were going to say that. You know why? Because you're not a man of hatred. You're not a racist. You're a decent man. And you know that a couple people doing bad things doesn't represent an entire race of people. Because
there have been way more white men that have committed these crimes.
But
I mean, Trump is one of them.
Yeah, but if you're not a person of hatred and bigotry, then you understand that, like somebody like yourself, right? But you know, it's upsetting that there are so many people out there where if they're the victim of a crime and the person happens to be black, then they label all black people that way. But if a white person commits a crime, oh no, we can't attack white people. You know, it's just it's so sick.
How do we convert them? How do we?
Well, that's a very good question that you ask. Well, Joe Biden did when it came to Representative Byrd. If you remember, Representative Byrd was a former Ku Klux Klan member, and a lot of people who don't know the history of that say, oh, look at that. Joe Biden decided to be a friend with a Klan member. No, actually, Joe Biden changed his life, and that's why Joe Biden spoke at his funeral, because Joe Biden changed the man and he changed his heart. There are stories of some black men and women that become friends with Ku Klux Klan members because they try to save them and they try to help them. There are people out there that can be helped, and then there are some people that are so far gone, sir, that you can't help them. I really do appreciate your call, and I'm sorry, so sorry that some of those events happened. Those horrible, violent crimes have happened to your family members. I am so truly sorry, and I am so glad that you are on the right side of history. Thank you for the call, sir. I really appreciate you. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Democrat MAGA, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Democrat MAGA.
Hello, Brian, calling in, number one caller since 1974. Two points. One, you have Don Lemon on. Nobody cares about some podcaster that was in a church for 10
Stop
minutes.
right there.
Everything going on.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Let's hold off for a second. You just said nobody cares. It was the lead story for the most part all week on Fox News, on OAN, on Newsmax, on every national publication, every talk show, including Sean Hannity, Dan Bongino, Mark Levin. So when Democrat MAGA calls into the show and says, who cares? Well, guess what? Every single member of the media, you couldn't find me one network or one radio show that hasn't been talking about Don Lemon. So you can continue, but you are 100% wrong.
Yeah, but he's Nick Shirley. It's the same guy.
Okay, he's Nick Shirley. Okay, let's talk about that. You just compared Don Lemon to Nick Shirley. Can you please give me an example? Okay, hold on. Can you give me an example? Hold on. Can you give me an example of Don Lemon ever going to another country and making satire videos and mocking a war? Because that's what Nick Shirley did. Can you give me an example of Don Lemon just knocking on a bunch of business doors and claiming that there's fraud with no evidence to back it up? Can you give me any examples like that, sir? Because guess what? Nick Shirley did that stuff. Has Don Lemon ever done anything like that? For you to even compare a dumb 22...
Why was he fired from CNN 9 times?
Okay. So first of all, he wasn't fired... Excuse me. Hold on. Let's go one by one here. First of all, they paid him boatloads of money, tons of money, millions and millions of dollars. He wasn't fired from CNN 9 times. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I think he was fired twice, but...
Okay, well, you just said... So first of all, he was not... No, first of all, he wasn't fired twice. That's number one. Number two, you keep saying the lowest rating network. That is also not true. And number three, that guy has been one of the biggest national reporters, anchors for decades. So for you to compare him to some stupid 23-year-old YouTuber who is a right-wing grifter makes you an imbecile. So go ahead and continue.
It seems to me like, okay, well, my other point is, and I'm sure you were going to get to it, what do you attribute right now that crime is down to a 125-year low in the United States? What do you attribute that to?
Which types of crimes? And what are the stats? Oh, and what are the stats?
So if you can go to CBS.
I didn't ask you where to go. I just said, give me the stats.
Okay. So it's the lowest amount of murders in the United States since 1900, 125 years.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
and over how long of a period? And over how long of a period? Can you give me some examples? Over how long of a period?
Yeah. So from this year, crime is down.
From this year,
murders are down 20%.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest murder rate since 1900 in the United States. Also, overdose deaths are down 30% year over. So last year to this year, down 30%. What do you attribute that to? What would you say?
So first of all, let's get your statistics correct and where you got those statistics from. So you're saying since these polls or these statistics are since January, how many months?
Well, unless you don't trust CBS fake news. I
didn't ask you. I didn't ask you where you got it. I didn't ask you the source. You're not understanding my question. I'm asking you how many months? Over how many months? Is it from January? Is it a year? Is it 6 months?
Yeah. So the statistics from murders for last year are at 125-year low.
Okay, and
I just
through
wanna
the
know why
entire
you think that
year, through the entire
Correct.
year. Okay.
So the amount of murders last year are the lowest number since 1900. And why do you think that is? I'm just wondering.
So first of all, I would have to go back and I would have to look at those statistics because, quite frankly, sir, I don't trust you. It's not that I don't trust CBS. I don't trust you because you say absurd and ridiculous things. So I would have to go back and look at it. But for argument's sake, let's just say for a moment, because again, I don't trust anything you say, but just for a moment, let's just assume that it's true. There's a lot of factors that go into why a murder rate might go down or why an overdose, drug overdoses might go down. Hold on. So people like you will make the case it's because the border is closed when the overwhelming majority of fentanyl that comes into this country has nothing to do with undocumented immigrants and everything to do with U.S. citizens that are going through customs and going through border or passing, with the drugs illegally. So it has nothing. It has nothing to do with that. Right. People like you.
That's correct.
No,
you are right.
That's not what I said. I didn't say cross the border illegally. Did you hear what I just said? Most of the drugs that are coming into this country illegally are not from undocumented people. So that is not factually accurate. So I know what people like you want to do. People like you on the right, because that's who you are. You're not a Democrat. You're a MAGA who spreads misinformation. No, you're not. Give me a break. You were the
anyway. You haven't given me a reason why though.
Well, because you keep interrupting me. First of all, we were coming out of a pandemic. There were a lot of people in their homes that were losing their mind, and then people are getting back to work. Some people are getting back to work. Things are getting back to normal. I would imagine that the crime rates are down in some of these cities. And I would have to look at the statistics because, quite frankly, sir, I don't trust your statistics. In some areas, if you call in the National Guard, as I've mentioned on this show before, it puts a Band-Aid on an injury. That's what it does. And then the Band-Aid eventually comes up. Hold on. Now, in 3 years from now, if we can continue to say that the murder rate is down at these levels and that drug overdoses are down at these levels at the end of Donald Trump's tenure, then I will say, hey, you know what? That's a really good thing. We can give Donald Trump some credit for that, even though I think he's damaging this country for decades and decades. But what I don't do is I don't look at something over the course of 3 months or 6 months and say, oh, wow, that's all Donald Trump. I want to give this a little bit of time. For example, I can give you other examples of the unemployment rate or when it comes to the economy, how things are moving in the wrong direction. A lot of people on the right say, well, wait a second. Hold on. First of all, I'm not saying that. Economists who've done this show.
We're going through a recession.
I'm not getting that. Okay, I need you to listen. I'm not giving that opinion. It's the opinion of people that I've interviewed and economists that are not partisan hacks like you. So when we talk about, when we talk about the economy and when I talk about inflation and I talk about the unemployment rate, a lot of excuses I hear from the right are, he just been here a year, give him more time. But if a statistic like the murder rate going down, allegedly, by the way, the murder rate going down, you want to give Donald Trump all the credit in the world for that. Don't give him more time. Well, guess what? I'm going to use the same excuse that you guys use. Let's wait until he leaves office. Let's give him another 3 years. And let's see if the murder rate is continually, which I hope it is, by the way, down. And there are less drug overdoses. But you can't work both ways. You can't say, well, you got to give him more time. You know, he said, even though he said he was going to lower everything on day one. Do you understand the hypocrisy that I'm trying to point out to you when we bring up something like statistics when it comes to the economy? Statistics.
Well, the economy grew at 4% again.
Okay, so the unemployment. What's the unemployment rate right now?
So right now, the employment rate is 96%.
Didn't ask you what the employment. I asked you what is the unemployment rate right now. Do you know what it is?
Foreign change.
Exactly. Yeah, Foreign change isn't an answer. Can you please give me a direct answer?
I would say it's what, 4%, 4.5?
No, it's not 4%. You have no idea what you're talking about. So it was
So what do you
recently
say it is?
it was recently 4.7%. It's hovering around 4.5, 4.6%.
Which is
Hold on,
nothing.
hold on.
96%
Stop.
of the
Hold on.
country's working.
First of all, you don't even know what the stats are. Do you know what the unemployment rate was when Joe Biden left office?
Well, it fluctuated during his whole term.
Not what I asked you. I didn't ask you. Not what I asked you. Not what I asked you. I need you to pay attention to the question. I know you struggle. I asked you, what was the unemployment rate when Joe Biden left office? Answer the question, please.
I don't know. Probably similar.
No.
I don't know exactly.
Wrong. See, when you don't want to admit to certain statistics that don't benefit your MAGA buffoon narrative, you don't know and you play dumb. It was 4.1% when he left office. It is risen.
And now it's 4.7, and that's a major difference?
Yeah, it actually is. If
it is not.
Okay, so hold on. Let's get this right.
Unemployment, unemployment's too low.
Hold on a second. 4.1% to 4.7% is a nothing burger? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, because if
that's a nothing
too
burger.
low, it's bad for the economy.
All right, I wrote that down.
Inflation.
I noted that. I wrote that down. 4.1 to 4.7, not a big deal. Okay. Can you name me any other products other than eggs that have gone down in the grocery store since Donald Trump took office?
Well, I know in Las Vegas, I saw gas.
I asked you about last. Didn't have the question.
Avenue.
The question was
gas
not. Excuse me, sir. I need you to
gas
focus, sir. I need you to focus. The question wasn't what gas prices were, and it certainly wasn't what are gas prices in Las Vegas. The question was, and I will repeat it again because I think you're struggling. Other than eggs, can you name me another product at this time last year that is lower now than it was a year ago? Go ahead, sir.
Well, another product is gasoline is lower.
Sir, you can't go to a...
You said a product. That's only
sir,
it's not a consumer product.
Sir, I will now ask my question for the third time. I said in a supermarket. I didn't say at a gas station. So now I'll ask the question again. I will ask the question again. Can you name me a product in a supermarket that has gone down besides eggs at the same point right now that was at this point last year? This is now the third time I've had to ask the question to you. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears and please answer.
So from the time it was 7% inflation to now,
I didn't ask
so
you.
Inflation's down then, correct or no?
I didn't ask you.
Is it down or not?
I didn't ask you. I'll answer that in a moment because you haven't answered my question yet. I'll answer inflation in a
I don't
moment.
know. The price is right. I don't know. What's the local price?
All you had to say is I don't know, because clearly you don't know a lot of things. So I will answer that.
You do know gas.
So I will answer that for you. Notice how he doesn't want. Notice how he doesn't want the answer, and he wants to move on to gas being down 32 cents right now than it was a year ago. I will answer your question.
Sir, is that? That's huge.
Sir, don't you want to know what products have gone down? No, I don't think you do. You know why? Because overall, the only product that has gone down is eggs. Every other product, including meat and other products that you would get in a supermarket, have gone up. But what you guys like to do is you pretend like, maybe you're ill-informed. I don't know. I think you might be. But the fact of the matter is that supermarket prices with food and other products have gone up. Do you know we've had some of the worst private job sector growth in decades? I bet you're unaware of that as well, but you probably...
But that's because unemployment is low.
Right, that's what it is.
And also because AI and technology is taking jobs.
The bottom line here, sir, is this.
Do you factor that in at all or not?
Sir,
you factor that in?
The bottom line, sir, is this.
No, fine, real quick. Do you factor in AI
Here's what I factor
taking
in.
jobs?
Here's what I do.
No?
Here's what I do factor in, sir. Any statistic, sir, I'm talking now. Any statistic that doesn't benefit your rapist orange turd leader, you all of a sudden don't know and you're ill-informed. But you'll no. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Any statistic that doesn't benefit your narrative of the 34-count felon, liable sexual abuser, you play dumb and you don't know, and/or when you're given facts, you say it's not a big deal. But you nitpick and you take a few things in the economy that might work in your benefit and you magnify those, but you totally throw away everything else. And here's why, right, sir. Here's why. No, it's not all right. Because people like you disgust me. You disgust me, sir. And the reason why you disgust me is because you try to pull a narrative that is not working. Here's the truth, sir, that obviously you don't want to address. He said he was going to end the war in 24 hours. The war in the Ukraine is still going strong and more innocent people are dying while he rolls out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. There is no peace in the Middle East. We just had over 13,000 protesters, innocent people that died in Iran, days after Donald Trump said we had their back. He is threatening a war and threatening putting troops on the ground with Greenland. One day he threatens to put troops on the ground, and the next day he says, oh no, we're not going to do that. He is threatening tariffs in other countries that don't agree. He kidnapped a president in another country and sets a very dangerous precedent going forward that we can just kidnap any president from another country if we want to steal your oil and your goods. But you don't want to focus on that. You want to focus on the 30 cents or so per gallon that you might be saving on national average on gas, right? That's what you want to focus on. You don't want to focus on the fact that this guy doesn't even know the difference between Iceland and Greenland, because you are a Trump mushroom gobbler. And I can separate fact from fiction, and you can't. So my recommendation to you, sir, is have fun this weekend, pleasuring yourself to your Donald Trump poster, and have a nice day, because you are not living in reality, and you are MAGA scum, is what you are. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283. Shaniqua is next up on PTL. Hello, Shaniqua.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi. Hi, Brian. I'm happy that you ripped them to shreds. That's number one.
Thank you.
I'm a New Yorker, and we don't play about facts, okay? So with that being said, I am so tired of the selective outrage. The selective outrage is ridiculous and diabolical, because they're over here talking about, okay, it's not okay to go into a church and kids are scared. But in the same breath, they don't have any kind of feeling for holding a whole 5-year-old hostage to lure his father to immigration. So everybody wants to put their hands up for Don Lemon and act like he is a more of a criminal than the ICE agent who unalived that lady for no reason. And they want to investigate him and don't want to have anything to do with the ICE agent. It's like all this stuff is crazy. Like, the prices are up. I'm a consumer. We're all consumers. We're not slow. We see what we see. We saw what we saw. Like, they're literally trying to tell us what we're seeing, what we're hearing isn't real. And they're trying to brainwash the people who are actually believing this stuff, because it's all propaganda. It's all propagandized. And, like, it's actually sad and scary for our kids, for us, because now we can't figure out or know the difference between what's real and what's fake. The people who aren't actually looking up the knowledge and the actual facts.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think what's really sad about this whole thing is it's not just people who might look like you, or people who look like Don Lemon, or immigrants in this country. It's everybody, right? It's everybody. Now, obviously, the people that are suffering the most are the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, middle-class America, and minorities in this country. But really, the only people that this economy is working for, at least in my estimation, are tech billionaires, right? I mean, that's Donald Trump's billionaire friends. I mean, it's amazing when I have people call into the show that think everything's hunky-dory and the economy's great and everything's fine. I mean, what world are they living in? Like,
I don't know what world. I'm trying to figure out which one so that I can go there.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, this one that I'm currently in, I don't see any reflection of it.
It's called
I've been a nurse for a very long time.
It's called the white supremacist MAGA mushroom gobbling world. That's the world that they live in, my dear. I hope you have a wonderful. I'm glad I got you to laugh. Have a great weekend, my dear. And I appreciate you got it. I'm glad I could get her a laugh, man. That's what this. Sometimes that's what this show's all about, right? You know what? I want to go to X. X is next up on PTL. Let's go to X. Hi, X. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? Hi, X. Go right ahead.
Oh, hello, Brian. How are you?
Hi, good. What's on your mind today?
Hey, what I wanted to ask you, or what I wanted to talk to you about is when you mentioned the 1,000 meals, from Dinesh D'Souza, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dinesh also made other movies too, like The Police State in 2023. and vindicating Trump.
Are you? Do you think Dinesh D'Souza deserves some credibility?
I mean, he was credible. He has worked for Ronald Reagan. And
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who he worked for. Are you aware that Dinesh D'Souza is a convicted felon? Are you aware in the 2000 Mules movie that he was sued? He was found civilly liable. He had to pay out a lot of money because he lied in his film, which is, by the way, fiction. It's not a documentary. He didn't expose anything, but that's okay. Let's put that to test.
I'm not going to defend.
X, hold on. Well, you just did. You just did. You just said, well, he worked. But X, hold on. X, hang on. Take a deep breath here. Hang on. You just said and defended him by, well, he worked in the Ronald Reagan administration. Who cares? Stephen Miller works in the Trump administration. Does that mean we should give credibility to Stephen Miller? Kristi Noem works in the Trump. Who cares what president he worked for? X, let me ask you a question. Can you name me anything in the 2000? Can you name me anything in the 2000 Mules fiction documentary that exposed fraud? Name me one thing.
I'm going to say based on what Dinesh is saying. Dinesh is saying, like, let the police do the investigation on it.
I don't care.
Like,
Hold on, X. You're not answering. X, with respect, X, you're not answering my question. Can you name me one person that was charged with a crime, or one instance? Can you name me one instance of fraud in the entire documentary that he exposed? One, just one.
I'm going by what Dinesh is saying. Dinesh is saying,
I don't care what Dinesh says. I don't care what he says.
You want to have different opinions, then you have to be willing to listen to what I'm talking about.
X, you're not answering my question, though, and then I will listen. Please answer my... If you don't know the answer, it's okay. Just say, I don't know, but I don't care what he says. Give me one example in 2000 Mules, which is what you brought up, where he actually exposed some fraud, where there was some sort of conviction or even somebody charged. Can you name me one instance in the entire movie?
There wasn't an investigation. There was not an investigation.
Okay, so if thank you for answering my question. So if there wasn't any investigation, he didn't expose any fraud. Why is that hard to connect the dots?
But because, like, Dinesh keeps saying that there wasn't any investigation, and some people just settle. Like, for example, somebody hit me for like I was a truck driver, and they just settled it, so they don't have to go to court and defend.
I'm glad that you were able to settle in something completely different in your personal life. That's not what we're talking about.
That doesn't mean that I'm proven guilty. Just
can you? Okay,
I don't want to deal with the court.
Can you give me an example of just one thing in the entire movie that Dinesh D'Souza exposed that has been proven?
I can't watch it. It's banned. I can't watch it. It's not possible to watch it.
Then why are you bringing up a convicted felon and a guy with zero credibility who's a complete imbecile? Why would you give him any credibility?
The thing is, like, I know what you're going to be thinking. Look, listen, Dinesh D'Souza got really disturbed with Barack Obama. I'm going to explain, like, what really happened.
Why are we talking about, well, hold on. Why are we even talking about Dinesh D'Souza? Because he's a clown. He's got zero credibility. He's an imbecile. A
lot of people, a lot of networks, a lot of things on the internet, neutral, ground news, any type of, like, says that Dinesh D'Souza has worked for, like, this type of administration.
I don't care. 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 X, I don't care who's talking about him. Alex Jones is talking about from time to time. Nobody should be taking somebody like him seriously. I don't take
Alex
anything.
Jones deserves to be in a 5150.
What?
Period.
What?
Alex Jones deserves to be in a 5150.
What are you talking about? Alex Jones was sued.
It's for unstable people. It's for people who are unstable.
Right. Okay. You're making my point for me. Why are we putting any bit of credibility? Why are we putting any bit of credibility into somebody like Dinesh D'Souza and his fiction documentary?
Because he's had a history of respect, and so, like,
really, he is.
He
has a history of respect. He has a history of committing felons. He has a history of lying in his documentaries, and all he cares about is making money. X, I'm not, with all due respect, I'm not interested in continuing a conversation about Dinesh D'Souza. He's not a grifter. Then why did he make 2000 Mules? You can't name one example of anything that he exposed in the entire documentary. The only thing that happened was he was sued. He had to pay somebody out in a civil suit, and it's all fiction, and he did it for money. That is the definition of grifting. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Steve out of West Virginia. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Brian. Yeah, we got cut off earlier. But I was going to mention, with the hearings yesterday.
Yeah.
Eric Swalwell and Dershowitz. I think I'm pronouncing it right. were spot on when they pointed at the Republicans and said in private, you hate this guy, you laugh at him, and then you get on public and puff up your chest, and it's all about Trump. And it's so hypocritical. It's just, and they were protected by the police, and then they got them sitting in front of them, and there's no respect for them.
Yeah, you know what's really sad in this whole thing, Steve, and I really do appreciate your phone call, is that, I do think that there are some ICE agents that are not bad people. I do think there are some ICE agents that maybe at the beginning got into this for the right reasons. And unfortunately, they're suffering because, in my opinion, the majority of the ICE agents in Minneapolis are not there for the right reasons. And it's sad. It's just like, when you have some bad cops do some bad things, when you have some bad cops do some bad things, unfortunately, all cops are the ones that suffer from it, and it's really sad to see that, my friend. Steve, I really do appreciate your call. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck is next up on PTL. Hey, Chuck, what's going on?
Well, not much. How things going? It sounds like you're having quite a show.
Well, I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or don't. I don't know, Chuck. I don't know how I should.
Well, you had a real good interview with Don, and then obviously anybody that disagrees, you don't have a good interview with them.
Well, first of all, Chuck,
you throw out.
Chuck, when somebody calls in, it's not an interview. There's a difference, right, Chuck? So when I had yesterday, I had someone who is a Trump supporter. I did an hour and 15-minute interview with him, right? And we had a respectful conversation. There's a difference between.
Oh, who was that?
Warren Smith, who I interviewed yesterday. So obviously, Chuck, I think you would agree with me. There's a difference between interviewing someone. Like, for example, when somebody calls into my show, right?
Oh, it's a talk show,
Right.
so it should be a back and forth.
Right,
Now,
right.
Yeah, you interviewed Don Lemon.
Right, I correct. But when
I
somebody,
mean, I
Right.
think that's what I heard.
Well, of course, that's
I mean,
why
you weren't
he's a
having
guest. Right.
You weren't having an equal conversation. I mean,
What do you mean I wasn't having an equal? What do you mean?
well, you were talking up to him. I mean, Don obviously, is a black gay, super host that you
What is it? What
that
is
you
it?
respected very well. You made that clear. He's obviously not MAGA, so you had a very respectful conversation with him.
I had a respectful conversation with a straight white MAGA supporter yesterday for an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, I didn't hear yesterday,
that's
but
not
I
my
heard the
fault.
one you had a few moments ago.
So,
and
Chuck, I feel like there's some criticism that you're trying to give me. You trying? Help me understand.
Well, here's actually something I'm interested in. I'm really curious about what your answer would be.
Okay.
Why do you think that most liberal talk shows don't survive the test of time, except for one very obvious one? Bill Maher survives.
Okay.
Can you name any others?
Absolutely. David Pacman is a millionaire. He's got a gazillion followers. Parker.
I don't even know him,
Okay. Well, it's not my fault that you don't know and you're ill-informed.
All right,
Okay.
go on.
Okay,
So,
I don't
what's
care.
name again?
I don't care whether you don't know them or not. You're ill-informed. I'm going to give you a list if you will please not interrupt me. Okay.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Oh, I thought you were interrupting me. Go on.
No. I'm trying to answer your question.
Go ahead, answer it.
Then stop talking. David Pacman.
I thought I stopped.
Are you done, sir? Thank you. This is not a very good conversation. So David Pacman is somebody that has made millions of dollars. Brian Tyler Cohen is somebody that has millions and millions of followers who's been doing this for years, by the way. Parker and Dean are in their early 20s, and they make boatloads of money and have tremendous success. In fact, Dean just had 100 million likes on TikTok. He does a show every single day, and so does Parker, by the way. I could also point to other people. Secular Talk, I'm forgetting his name. Jojo from Jers, who does my show all the time. Wajahat Ali, who does Pierce Morgan constantly. I could name you a.
How about Basham? You forgot Basham.
Who?
One of the local guys.
I'm talking
Your
about,
predecessor.
sir. I'm talking about national hosts that make millions of dollars, that are extremely successful, that do shows every day. I'm giving you a long plethora of lists.
Okay,
Hold on.
and
I'm trying. Hold on.
I'm not aware of any of them.
Well, that's because I'm
I
getting
must not listen to the right station.
That's because I'm getting the sense, sir, that you probably only watch right-wing media.
MAGA.
Who did you vote for?
MAGA, whatever.
Okay, so
go down your list.
Okay, so Chuck, I'm not going. So Chuck.
Privileged.
Chuck.
Radio station.
Chuck, I didn't mention race. You did.
No, but you will.
Chuck, did you vote for Donald Trump? Let's have a conversation. Let's see if I can interview
Well,
you, Chuck.
did you vote for
Chuck?
Kamala?
You don't answer a question by asking
No,
a question.
I'll answer.
Okay.
Of
so
course
Chuck,
I did.
Okay, so you voted.
Why would I vote for Kamala?
Okay, good. Okay, so you voted for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
So tell me why. What do you think he's done really well this year?
Well, he reversed everything that Joe Biden did that was destroying everything.
And what destroyed our country? What did he do?
Within the first 30 days,
what policy?
All his executive orders reversed everything that Biden did.
Which executive order?
Every.
Why are you laughing?
Well, wait a minute. Are you aware of what Biden's executive orders were that were in the country?
I didn't ask you about Joe Biden. Name me an
No,
executive.
but I did.
Sir.
I brought up Joe Biden.
Sir, this is an interview.
I told you what.
Sir, no, you said every executive order. Name me one executive order, and then let's talk about a policy. Name me one.
Well, he reversed the energy policies.
We had more independent energy run over with Joe Biden than with Donald Trump, so that's factually inaccurate.
Which made the price.
That's factually inaccurate.
Which made the price of gas go up.
Not true. We were coming out of a global pandemic, and you're obviously unaware that the biggest oil refineries and oil companies in this country were making record profits under Joe Biden.
Are you
give me another policy.
Tell me that Joe Biden was doing good things for the country?
Give me another. Yes, I think the Chips and Science Act. Okay, if you could be quiet. You're not aware of a lot.
Really stupid.
Sir, you're not aware of a lot of things, so I appreciate you being honest.
I
okay,
know.
so what I need you to do right now is be quiet so I can educate you, because you keep interrupting me. Okay, the Chips. You're still, sir. May I answer your question, or are you going to play victim and call me a liberal? By the way, I'm a registered independent who didn't vote for Barack. Sir, are you going to be quiet? It's not a conversation if you keep interrupting. Okay, I will go on because it's my show and not yours. I'm a registered independent who did not. Shut up! Stop talking. I'm a registered independent that didn't vote for Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. You keep calling me a liberal. By the way, there's nothing wrong with a liberal. I could name the Chips and Science Act, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, by the way, that Joe Biden helped put together, the same bill that Donald Trump said he was going to get done, which, by the way, he didn't get done. I would also say student loan debt forgiveness, which I think is a wonderful thing from the country. You didn't mention one executive order that Donald Trump passed, because you couldn't name one because you are extremely ill-informed. I could name you an executive order that Joe Biden, when he capped insulin at $35, Plan B and Plan D over medical coverage, Donald Trump went back to what he originally did with capped insulin, and he took Plan B and Plan D off the table. He actually signed that on day one, an executive order, and millions more of Americans are unable to get their insulin capped at $35. In the big and beautiful bill, he gave the biggest tax break to the top 1%, which I can guarantee you're not in, $100 billion in tax cuts for the richest people. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. It did not happen. He said excuse me.
What moron would have taken that serious?
Well, then why would the moron say it? Why would he campaign on it every time? Are you willing to call him a liar?
Funny thing.
He says, so you think it's funny. So when thousands and thousands of innocent people are dying, and a politician is running for president of the United States, and he promises in every campaign rally to idiots like you that he's going to end the war in 24 hours, you think it's funny? You think it's funny? You think it's funny?
I believe that.
It's funny. Idiots like you believed it. That's probably why you voted for him. How do you look in the mirror when this man has not only cheated on every woman he's ever been with, but he's a liable sexual abuser? How do you vote for a man who said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured? Why don't you answer one of my questions, you dope?
Oh, I didn't trust John McCain. I think he's...
Oh, I didn't ask you, sir. You have to answer my question. I need you to focus. The question wasn't whether you trust John McCain or not. That wasn't the question. Quite frankly, sir, I don't care what your opinions are and whether you trust him or not. That wasn't the question. Donald Trump said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured as a POW for 5 years. Please respond to that. That's the question.
And
are you going to answer my question? Are you going to answer? Are you going to answer my question? Are you going to answer my question? I'm going to ask it again.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Yeah, stop talking and pay attention and listen. I will do whatever I want to do, and if you don't answer answer my questions, then the conversation's going to be over. Donald Trump said he didn't respect John McCain.
I didn't either.
Sir, are you going to let me finish the sentence without interrupting me? Shut up and let me finish. Shut up. Don't stop saying go on. Keep your mouth shut and let me finish. I know you think this is really funny, sir. It's all funny. Like when he said the war would be over in 24 hours, you think it's funny. When he said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured as a POW, do you think that's an appropriate thing to say for somebody that's running for president of the United States? Do you support that language?
No, I was a military man.
Didn't ask you. Didn't ask you, sir. This idiot. Excuse me. What did you just say?
You took it totally. Read his whole statement.
I tend not to. The whole statement is I tend not to respect people who were captured. He was referring to John McCain when the host there said he was a hero and he was a POW. He said, I tend not to respect people who were captured. There is no more context needed. Are you going to respond to that, or are you going to continue to call yourself into a MAGA president?
Who cares?
Who cares? Okay, so you don't care if we attack POWs if they were captured. Okay, you've made that very clear, sir. You don't care. That's why you voted for him. Do you care when a man brags about going to teenage beauty pageant locker rooms and brags about it in a sexual manner? Would you also say that's inappropriate, or you don't care about that either as we pod you back up, sir? Do you care about that?
Well, that was somewhat inappropriate, sure.
It was wait, hold on.
Listen, sir.
Hold on.
I was an athlete.
I don't care.
Been in a whole lot of locker rooms.
I don't care if you.
I heard a whole lot of that.
Okay, first of
I
all,
don't know where you grew up.
sir, this isn't about what somebody. Sir, I need you to focus. Yes. This isn't about talking about something. I need you to pay attention.
Go on.
He said he went into. It's an action, not something that he said.
Well, they also said that he went into a dressing room and accosted.
Sir, this is what Donald Trump said, not what they said. It wasn't something that they said. Donald Trump said he went into beauty pageant locker rooms with teenage women that were dressing half naked without their permission. Several of those women, now adults, have come forward and talked about it and all corroborated that. I'm asking, you said it's somewhat inappropriate. I'm wondering what part of I'm sorry, what did you say, sir?
Well, he was exercising his white privilege, I think.
Okay, so now you're trying to be funny and you won't directly answer one of my questions. So here's the problem. I think
I didn't hear the question.
No.
You didn't get to it.
You don't hear any questions because all you do and interrupt. Shut the hell up and pay attention. And if you say one more word when I'm asking a question, the conversation is over. I'm going to ask it one more time because I'm losing my patience with you, sir. Okay, this is why I call people names, because you're not a very intelligent person and you don't know how to listen. So I'm going to try this one more time. You just started to talk. We have a rule. You don't interrupt me again or the conversation is over. I'm going to ask this one more time. Donald Trump himself on the Howard Stern show bragged in a sexual manner about going into beauty pageant women's locker rooms without their permission. I would like you to respond to that. And I'm wondering if that bothers you at all. Go ahead, sir.
No, I listen to that show, and that's all his show was about, was that kind of stuff.
So you're defending
the stuff he did.
So wait.
Was 10 times worse.
Okay, wait.
I mean, he was a shock jock.
So you're now blaming Howard Stern for Donald Trump.
Yeah, of course.
So you're
okay. Ask the question.
Okay, so let's dissect this a little bit. Donald Trump.
But I mean,
hold on. Why is it a big deal to me? Do you have any daughters, sir? You have a daughter?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Well, lovely one.
Okay, great. So what if one of your
by the way?
Sir, I'm in the middle of asking a question. You're interrupting again. What if you had one of your lovely daughters that was at the age of maybe 14 years old in a beauty pageant, and some man in his mid-50s without permission went into that locker room looking at your lovely 14 or 15-year-old daughter topless? Would you say it's not a big deal? Or would you say that would be a problem and you might be a little upset at that? How would you respond to that, sir?
Well, that's happening every day with these trans guys.
Didn't ask
walking
you,
into-
sir. The question has nothing to do with trans. I need you to focus and pay attention. The question had nothing to do with trans. We can talk about trans after you answer this question. So please stop deflecting. I'm going to ask one more time because I have to ask the same question 5 or 6 times to morons like you. You are a moron. I'm going to ask one more time. Pay attention. The question has nothing to do with trans people. It has to do with a hypothetical that if you had your lovely daughter when she was at the age of 14 or 15 years old in a beauty pageant, and some man in his mid-50s went into that teenage locker room and looked at her in a sexual manner when she was topless at the age of 15 years old, would you have a problem with that, and would that bother you? And that question, again, has nothing to do with trans people.
I would knock him out.
You would knock him out. So why did you? Okay, good.
Just like
We
if I-
finally.
if I-
We're not going back to trans. You just said you would knock them out. 5 minutes ago, you just said it wasn't a big deal when Donald Trump talked about it on the Howard Stern show. You blamed Howard Stern, and you didn't hold Donald Trump to any accountability. So if it's your daughter, you would knock that person out. But if it's somebody else's daughter, it's not a big deal. Is that what you're saying, sir?
I don't know that that's actually true.
Okay, it's not factually true. So you just think he lied about it on the Howard Stern show, and then multiple women.
I
you
think
don't know.
guys
Yeah.
are-
You don't know.
Oh,
Sir,
yeah.
here's what I think. I think you're.
I don't believe
sir,
that's what I listened
sir,
to, what I heard on
right.
on his show.
Who won the 2020 election, sir? Who won a free and fair election in 2020?
Free and fair?
Yep. Who won? Answer.
Well, I'll tell you who won.
Who won? Tell me.
Not fair.
Who won? Who won a free and fair election in 2020?
Well, I don't think anyone did.
You okay? Have a nice day, sir. You're obviously not smart enough to have a conversation with me. You're a waste of my time, and you're a moron, and you're a bigot. That's what you are. And that has nothing to do, by the way, with the color of your skin. You're just an idiot. You won't say that Joe Biden won a free and fair election. You don't think that Donald Trump ever went into teenage girls' locker rooms, even though he bragged about it on the Howard Stern show and multiple women have admitted and corroborated what took place. You only knock somebody out if it's your own daughter, but if it's somebody else's daughter, you blame Howard Stern for it. You're an idiot. You are Donald Trump's base. That's exactly who you are, sir. And by the way, you're also a terrible listener. You don't shut up. You don't know how to pay attention to a question. Every question that I ask you, I have to ask it 5 or 6 times. You're a complete imbecile. Quite frankly, sir, you're probably not smart enough to even vote. I hope you're never allowed to vote ever again. Take his voting rights away. That guy is so ill-informed and he's so stupid. But sadly, this is Donald Trump's base. It's really sad. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Maggie. Maggie's next on PTL. Hello, Maggie.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Hi. Okay. So I just want to really just ask you guys to maybe recollect and do something really fast to help everybody recollect, like a Cliff Notes. Can you Cliff Notes everybody on what just happened in like the last couple of days or less? Because there was a lot, and everybody's working. Can we do that?
I'm confused. What do you mean? Help me understand what you're asking me.
Oh, hi. Okay. So, like, there was a lot of information.
On what?
And
in
so
regards
much.
in regards to what story? Which story are you talking about?
Everyone. I'm just wondering if there's a possibility to maybe make Cliff Notes.
Maggie,
break
can I
it
ask
down.
you? Maggie, can I ask you a question?
No, I'm not saying today.
Maggie, can I ask you a question? Which
absolutely.
Which dispensary do you frequent?
I'm sorry. Can I ask that question again?
Yeah, which dispensary do you frequent on a regular basis?
I don't understand the question.
Oh, okay. Well, Maggie, I appreciate the call. I'll try to do those Cliff Notes for you. I do.
Dispensary.
Thank you, Maggie. I appreciate the call. I'll try to get those Cliff Notes ready for you for Monday. I feel like I'm back in high school again. That was my teacher asking me to do Cliff Notes. That was very interesting. Interesting calls today on a Friday. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next. What's up, Steve?
Well, hi. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks. Hi. Thanks for having me on. After listening to those MAGA callers, I lost my train of thought.
Yes, so did I. That makes 2 of us, by the way, Steve.
I just have to wonder. Now, the huge problem that I see is we've normalized as a nation Trump's behavior in 2016, and he still won. And then we normalized his behavior during during when Joe Biden was president. And I think we're at a time here in which most of America, or I don't know if most, maybe half, has normalized this behavior. They've become so numb to it, to where it's just normal now. Like in the past, we could never have a president who acted the way he does.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to go through psychological examinations to see if they're okay.
So, Steve, I agree with you what you're saying, Steve. I have a question for you. Like, I'm the host, and obviously it's my job, but it's very frustrating to have to ask the same question 5 or 6 times to some of these people. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
Can you just, from your perspective, listening, and I appreciate you calling in, how frustrating is it for you when I have to ask the same question to these people 5 or 6 times about the comments he made about John McCain, about going into teenage girls' locker rooms, and they make excuse after excuse after excuse. But then if it's their own daughter or somebody in their family, I would knock that person out. I mean, how do you have what goes through your mind when you listen to a conversation like that?
I think they're selfish and only care about themselves. And I think a lot of them, and I hate to be rude here, a lot of them might be learning disabled, because how can you be like this? I don't know. We've just normalized it all. And one more thing, I barely get to listen to your show because I work all day, and I took today off. And can you put your show on a later time of the day? Because
hold on. Let me help you out here. Hold on. Well, I appreciate that, sir. Let me help you out here.
Yeah.
You can go on my YouTube. What platform are you listening to my show on? Tell me that. Let's start there.
YouTube.
Okay. So
YouTube.
So here's a tip for all of you. All you have to do, it's podcasted on my YouTube page. All you have to do is go to the live version of my show.
Which I've listened to it.
Okay. So you can podcast
on live.
Okay. So there's so you click on live, and then you can see all the shows that have aired previously, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And can I say one last thing before I go?
Yes, sir.
I just don't, and maybe call me the pessimist, I don't see things getting any better. I don't see things in the midterms getting better. I don't see 2028 getting better. I see it as and maybe I just think it's a dark hole. I see Trump delaying things and pulling acts, and I see people falling for it.
So you
people
are
gullible
listen,
and uneducated.
You might be right. I hope you're wrong. I think the midterms are going to be okay for us. When I say us, I mean anybody that's anti-MAGA, right? We are still going to have to suffer through Donald Trump for the next 3 years. So that part, I completely agree with you on. And I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We're going to get to the YouTube super chat here in a moment. Let's go to Jackie. Jackie is next up on PTL. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
I wanted to approach the fellow that you had on whenever I first joined, and then, you talking about Trump going in the dressing rooms, with the young ladies, and he had to search their bodies and make sure they were on cue and on point before they ever were even allowed to do anything, period. At any point in time, as a mother of 3 daughters, how dare any man? And I always was told money equals power.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about who you know and what you got.
Why is it so hard, Jackie, for somebody to just say, who voted for Trump, that was really wrong? He should have never have done that. Like, why?
It's sick. It's sick.
Why is it?
How do we know that he don't think that way?
That's true. But when it's his own daughter, then all of a sudden he says, I would punch them in the face. But if it's somebody else's daughter, he blames Howard Stern. Like, and then I bring up, attacking John McCain's service. I have talked to some MAGA.
I like John.
Well, I did too, but that's not even the point, right? It's like, even if you don't like somebody like J.D. Vance or the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, I despise them, but I would never go after their military service. And if somebody said, Ron DeSantis was a terrible person who served and he's a coward, I don't condone that sort of language. Why can't people just say, he shouldn't have said that about John McCain? It was wrong. He shouldn't have gone.
He was a hero. John was a
Well, I
hero.
agree. Obviously, I agree with you. But
He was.
but even if you don't think he's a hero, how can we condone that sort of behavior in that language?
You can't.
Yeah.
And to raise your children to do right, it's hard to raise them in a world where all we're seeing is corruption now. Look,
Yeah.
I want to see these files. They're wanting to bring out Hillary and Bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see them Epstein files. Let's see what Trump has not put his hands on and what he's told them to take out of there. I guarantee the first time he was in the White House, there's things that come up out of there.
Well, obviously, I agree with you, my dear. Obviously, I agree with you. And the Epstein files are something that we all need to see. There's a reason why they've defied the law for the last 30 days. I appreciate your call, my dear, and I completely agree with you. You sound like you're a great mom. We're going to go to the YouTube super chat. We got some super chats there. Where they will be read live on the air. Mr. Will says, thank God for independent journalists like Don Lemon. We get facts from DL and not fantasy from Donald J. Trump and his cult outlets like Fox. Completely agree with you. Electric Dad, thank you for your support. Says, anyone ever see people speaking in tongue? That would be my defense for being in the church. That's actually, I have seen people talk in tongue, by the way. I always, yeah, I have. Lori says the Republican leaders are hypocrites. They don't stand by the words. They stand with Trump. Please ask Michael Fanone on your show. Yeah, I've been trying to get Michael Fanone on. I would love to get him on. I have a lot of respect for him, Lori, and we're doing our best to try to do that. Appreciate your YouTube super chats and your support. We'll continue to read those on the air as they come in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason.
Hey, my brother. I just want to say something really quick because I've been listening a lot. You know, America, half America lost its moral code, and I'm sitting back and really looking at history. You know, it was 1939 and MAGA was around then, we would have lost to the Germans. And if China decides they're ever going to decide to go to a massive world war, America would lose because half this country is not even believable. They have no moral code. Putting this man in office has shown that they're morally bankrupt. And so, like I said, if MAGA was around in 1939 to 1945, we would all be speaking German right now. Other than that, I digress.
Well, Jason, I appreciate your comments, and I certainly agree with you, and I thank you for the call. And I have made references and comparisons to Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler to this administration. I have begun to do that over the course of the last several weeks, and I'm going to continue to do that. And if people don't like it, I don't care. No, I don't think Donald Trump is trying to kill 7 million Jews, but what he's doing in reference to, Nazi Germany, totally okay with ICE agents just going up to anybody and ask them for their paperwork. To me, that's a comparison back to the days of Nazi Germany and murdering people on the streets and not investigating officer-involved shootings when a woman is shot in the head and killed. That reminds me a little bit of what I've heard from the days of the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. MAGA's Nightmare joining us on the line. I thought I was MAGA's Nightmare. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I use MAGA's Nightmares as my username online.
I like it.
Because I harass MAGA every day on X. I harass them. I terrorize them. As a matter of fact, I insulted Laura Ingraham, and she followed me.
Did she really? Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I insulted her. I don't know if you're probably not old enough to remember this, but on Saturday Night Live, they used to do a thing called Point Counterpoint with Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin. And every time they did it, Dan Aykroyd would first say, "Jane, you ignorant slut." And that's what I said to Laura Ingraham. And 5 minutes later, I got a notification that she was following me.
Well, you know that Laura Ingram's brother won't even talk to her because he knows what a bigot she is. And I give him a lot of credit, by the way. He won't even talk to her,
Yeah. I mean, I call Nancy Mason disgrace every day, all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I do stuff like that. I just terrorize them. As a matter of fact, Ryan Shedd and I are friends.
Ryan's a good guy. Ryan's a good dude.
And Pam Hemphill, I consider her a friend.
Yep. Well, I have a lot of respect.
One of my friends.
Listen, there's a lot of social media trolls on the right that like to harass people like us. So when you give them a little bit back, they all of a sudden turn into a snowflake. And I think that's what's extremely problematic. And you just keep doing your thing, my man, and you keep telling me stories, and I'll keep talking about it. And I absolutely will keep taking your calls. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Why don't we go to Tony? Tony is next up on PTL. What's up, Tony?
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Good.
Hey, I have a comment, and then I have a couple jokes for you, if you're okay with that.
I need to laugh. I'll tell you, I've had a very stressful morning. I need to laugh.
I'm sure you have. So the first comment is, I believe everything that Don Lemon says. I'm in northern Minnesota. It's cold as heck up here. This morning it was 54 degrees below zero with the wind chill factor. So I got to warm up a little bit, So my first joke to you would be, how do you circumcise a MAGA?
How's that?
You kick his sister in the chin.
That's a good one.
Okay, and the second joke is, what do MAGAs do on Halloween?
What's that?
Pumpkin.
I mean, a little stupid, but somewhat funny.
Yeah, sorry, but okay. I want to make you laugh a little bit. But hey, you do a great job on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate
Don Lemon.
Thank you.
Don Lemon he may be a black gay man, but you know what? I have the utmost respect for him, and he is my equal, as you are too. And you have a good weekend, Brian.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ramona. Ramona is next up on PTL. Hello, Ramona.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, what's up?
Can you take a little bit of criticism from a long-time listener?
I am happy to take criticism from anybody, especially a long-time listener. Just when the MAGA people call in and they try to be disrespectful right from the get-go, that's when I have a problem. But go ahead, Ramona. Absolutely.
I love you. I love your show.
Thank you.
However, that last MAGA caller, he was purposely taking up all your airtime.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious. His voice was disguised and all that, and
yeah.
And that just annoys the heck out of me because, I know what he's doing.
Well, here's the deal, right? You might be right, Ramona. I'm not saying that you're wrong. But if people are going to call in, whether they're trying to, jerk my chain or not, I'm always going to try to expose them for their stupidity. And I believe I probably did that. While it might be a little annoying at times, I understand that. I always do still want to do a show where anybody can call in if they would like. Some calls might be a little bit more annoying than others, and I understand that. One thing I definitely never wanted to do here, and I think you would understand this, is that I never wanted to do an echo chamber show. I always want to give other people the opportunity. They could be callers or they can be guests, right? In fact, as you know, I mean, today was the exception to that. Of course, I agree with Don Lemon on almost everything, but I have a lot of people like yesterday, Warren Smith. I have a lot of people on the show that's very important to me that disagree with me on a lot of different things, so, but I understand what you're saying. Maybe I had him on a little bit too long. I definitely can take that criticism. Is that fair? Maybe I had him on a little bit. It's not taking the call. Maybe I had him on a little bit too long. Can we agree on that?
Well, yeah, I agree. You want to, call out their stupidity. I get that. But I also have one other thing to say.
Sure.
People that think that, the midterms are going to be rigged and all that, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think, oh, well, it's going to be rigged anyway, and they're just going to stay home. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
No, we have to get out there. We have to vote.
Amen. I echo exactly what you just said. We have to get out there and vote. It's one of the reasons why, of many, that Kamala Harris lost. There were too many people that sat on their ass and they didn't get it done. So I am in complete agreement with you, my dear. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Okay.
Oh, you too.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Thank you very much. I can take some constructive criticism. Sometimes I have MAGA callers on a little bit too long. I'll be the first one to admit that. Sometimes they get my blood boil. I'll be honest with you. But deep down inside, I'm laughing. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda's next up on PTL. Hey, Rhonda, what's up?
Hey, Brian, what's going on? It's good to hear your voice and good to see you on the
Thank
TV. You look so good. Listen, I enjoy the guests you have, especially Don Lemon and Jolly. You had Jolly on, I think.
The Jolly Ginger's great. We'll have him on again. He told me that he personally enjoyed coming on, and he'll come on again soon.
Yeah, great guesses. But let me ask you a quick question before you leave, and have a great weekend. Did you hear about the Democrats in the House funded more funds for ICE? Did you hear that?
I did not. In fact, I thought they were trying to do the opposite. But let me be very clear: any Democrats in office right now, if that is true, and I don't know if it is, but I believe you. If it is true, any Democrats in office right now that are trying to allocate more funds for ICE, I would never vote for somebody like that. Let me be very clear.
Yeah. They said Mike Johnson took a victory lap over 7 Democrats in the House passed the fund. So I don't know. Maybe you can do some research on that.
Yeah.
And maybe you can get back with that with us. You have a great weekend, my love.
Well, thank you, my dear. I appreciate that. You as well. Thank you, my dear. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Chad. Chad's next. What's up, Chad?
Hey, Brian. Well, see, what kills me about these Trump supporters, they're all up in arms about this church thing, but didn't care when these ICE agents was going in there snatching people up. That was okay.
Well, that's my point, Chad. I agree. They want to throw Don Lemon in jail. For trespassing? I don't know. It's so insane. And they want a full investigation, right? But yet when it comes to Jonathan Ross, who in my estimation murdered someone, but even if people out there disagree with me, nothing to see here, no investigation, no ballistics, no autopsy, nothing. That's totally fine. But God forbid if a church service is interrupted, it's like World War III. These right-wing evangelicals.
When the ICE agent does it.
Right. If an ICE agent grabs a mother by her hair and throws tear gas in a vehicle when you have a 3-year-old in the back seat that can't breathe and almost dies, notice how they don't talk about that. They don't talk about it on Fox News, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity. No, but if a gay black man walks into a church and takes out his cell phone and records people that are peacefully protesting, even though they might be breaking the law because it's private property. I know, we've been through that. They want a full investigation there. They want Don Lemon to go to jail. These people are sick.
Okay, I got another question.
Yeah.
How can they do no warrants going into people's house? That's a constitutional right.
That is,
how did they let that slide?
You are 100% correct. In fact, I've talked about that on this show. Even if you think that a violent criminal that happens to be undocumented is in a home, if it's not his own home, even if it is his home, you need a warrant to go in there and arrest somebody. They've gone into other people's homes. They've barged down the door. And they've broken everything that it says when it comes to our rights and what it says in our Constitution, not to mention the 4th Amendment, going up to random people, asking them for not only ID, but paperwork if they're legal here, completely racially profiling. They're doing it every day, sir. You know that. They're doing it every single day. But
what's going to happen is one of them going to get shot. And he can throw out, when he come out with the National Guard and stuff, because it was like, they killed an ICE agent, so we need more protection.
Well, you asked me, how is it all going to stop? The Trump administration is going to have to be willing to work with Tim Walz and Mayor Frey. And I don't have any faith that that's going to happen. I do think the mayor and Tim Walz would meet with Trump and Kristi Noem, but vice versa. I don't think they're willing to do so. That's the only way. Otherwise, this is going to get worse. I mean, obviously, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hey, Mark, what's going on, man? Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Brian. Let me go through this really quick. Those MAGA callers that you get, they're like playing chess with a pigeon. It coos, it craps all over the board, knocks the pieces over, and then declares victory. So, there is that. And a couple other points really quick. I know you're short on time.
You're good. You got time. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Regarding gas prices, we talked about this the other day. There are no new refineries that have come online. Nothing has changed there. If gas prices go up or down, it has absolutely zero to do with the administration at this point. Now, as far as eggs go, where they're all claiming, look, the price of eggs has gone down, bird flu. Bird flu wiped out flocks right toward the end of Biden's term. He had nothing to do with that. So, egg prices were going to go up. And then they replaced the flocks after several months, and they started producing eggs again, so you had more eggs on the market.
Hold on. Mark. You're speaking what a fairly intelligent person would say, logic, facts. And let's go back to the gas prices for a moment. What they don't seem to understand, and I think you'll agree with me here, is that the oil companies had record profits under the Joe Biden administration, okay? We were also coming out of a pandemic. The war in Ukraine certainly didn't help for starters. There's a lot of reasons why gas prices go up or down. I've never blamed a president, whether it be Donald Trump or Joe Biden, for gas prices, because they have... their policies have little to no effect over what the gas prices are. But when we talk about inflation, when it comes to groceries, absolutely that has an effect on tariffs and of course. But again, it was greed. It was corporate greed, which is why gas prices were high. Again, record profits for the oil companies. That doesn't mean that they were suffering, but it's so hard for these MAGA people to put 2 and 2 together.
Well, for people who are worried about the midterms, the fact that you tend to get a small number of MAGA callers in, very few new ones, might indicate that the smarter ones have peeled away. They're the ones that they're not going to call in. They're not going to tell you, hey, you know what, I changed my mind. So you're left with the dumbest of the dumb people who are calling in on the other side of the aisle.
Mark, I do have some good news for you, though. We're going to work on that because I'm going to be doing a lot of live streaming at different hours of the day because I'm kind of creating my own little studio here in my place. And when I do that, it's going to be a different format, and I'm probably going to be on TikTok and other entities where a lot of new MAGA people are going to debate me. And if it's good stuff, I will replay it on this show. So you'll have some new MAGA material for sure on this show very soon. Okay.
Oh, you really like to torture me.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's annoying, sometimes it's fun. But we'll see how it goes. We're going to be doing a test run this weekend, so we'll see how it goes. Okay.
All right. Well, have a good weekend.
All right, Mark. You too, my friend. You take care. Everybody in the YouTube super chat, thank you. If you are a big supporter of what we do, I also want to tell you guys, support our sponsors, including mybookie.ag. So what you do is you use the promo code limits, and we are right around the Super Bowl's like literally right around the corner. We're in the middle of the NFL season, and they have a bet back bonus just for my listeners, where if it loses, you'll receive a refund of up to $500 with only one time rollover requirement. What a great deal. It's the peak betting season, I said, and MyBookie's built for it. Same account, same wallet, sports, casino, reloads, live bets, everything you need in one place. So go ahead and go to mybookie.ag. If you're looking for a link to use, go to my Facebook page, which, by the way, I think just passed 64,000 subs. Pushing the Limits Facebook page, where we put the link in our videos where you could directly sign up through my link and use the promo code limits. Please check them out, mybookie.ag. Also check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. If you go to pushingthelimits.live, and by the way, Numchuck just said we just passed 65,000 subs on Facebook, which is great news. If you go to the website, pushingthelimits.live, you can make donations, and you're supporting independent media like myself, and you help us keep the lights on here. $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford, and whatever your donation is, we appreciate it. We also greatly appreciate Don Lemon taking the time to come on my show. He told me the other day that he said no to hundreds of different shows that wanted him on, and I'm very grateful that he was nice enough to come on. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great weekend. We will see you back at it on Monday. Take care.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub